Hey there, today we are going to talk about properties in mathematics. Properties are like set of math rules that are always true. They often help us solve equations. There are four main types of properties that we're going to talk about today. Identity property of addition and multiplication, cumulative property of addition and multiplication, associative property of addition and multiplication, and in the last we'll discuss distributive property of multiplication over addition and multiplication over subtraction. Let's start with the identity property. This property states that when you add 0 to a number, that number stays the same. On the other hand, when you multiply a number by 1, that number stays the same. So let's take some numbers and see if this property holds true. Here I have taken 3 and I am adding 0 to it. What I get is 3 after adding 0 to it. Basically 3 stays the same and 0 is called the identity element for addition here. Identity element is a number that when added or multiplied to another number, the result is the other number. Similarly, when I multiply 3 by 1, what I get is 3 again, because 1 is the identity element for multiplication, and this is going to be true for any number you take. Next, let's move on to the cumulative property. This property states that the order in which we add or multiply numbers doesn't change their sum or product. For addition, it looks like this, and for multiplication, it looks like this. Let's take some numbers and substitute them in the equation and see if this property holds true. Here I have taken 3 and 5 and added them. 3 plus 5 is same as 5 plus 3, which is 8. Similarly, 3 times 5 is same as 5 times 3, which is 15. And these results shows that the order in which we add or multiply numbers doesn't change their sum or product. Let's now move on to the associative property. The associative property states that the way in which numbers are grouped in addition or multiplication doesn't change the sum or product. Or in other words, you can say it says that when adding 3 different numbers, you can change the order that you add them by moving the parentheses and the answer will still be the same. I have taken 3 numbers and added them in 2 different ways. First, I have added 5 and 6, then added 3 to the sum. And on the other hand, I have added 3 and 5 and then added 6 to the sum. What I get is the same sum in both cases, which is 14. Similarly, when I multiply 3 numbers in 2 different ways, I get the same product. For multiplication, we have taken 5, 6 and 3 and multiplied them in 2 different ways. First, I have multiplied 5 and 6, then multiplied the result by 3. On the other hand, I have multiplied 6 and 3 first and then multiplied the result by 5. What I get is the same product in both cases, which is 90. Now this shows that the grouping in addition or multiplication doesn't affect the sum or product. Now let's talk about the distributive property. For addition, it states that multiplying a sum by a number outside the parentheses is same as multiplying each addend by the number outside and then adding the results. For subtraction, it works similarly, but instead of adding, we subtract the products after multiplying each number inside the parentheses by the number outside. Let's test this with some numbers. We'll take 2, 4 and 6. First add 4 and 6 and then multiply the sum by 2. We get 20. Now if we distribute the multiplication, we first multiply 2 and 4. We first multiply 2 by 4 and then 2 by 6. And then add their product. We still get 20. For subtraction, let's subtract 4 from 6. Then multiply the difference by 2. We get negative 4. Again, by distributing the multiplication, we multiply 2 by 4 and by 6 and then subtract the products. The result is still negative 4. And this confirms that the distributive property holds true for both addition and subtraction. Let's now move on to the topic of factoring. Factoring is the reverse of the distributive property. Instead of getting rid of the parentheses, factoring allows us to include parentheses. because sometimes it's simpler to work with an expression that has the parentheses. So let's take an example of factoring. We have 15y plus 12. Now we'll have to think about numbers that can be multiplied to give us 15y and 12. Let's break it down. 15y into 3 times 5 times y and 12 into 4 times 3. If we closely look at the expression, we can see that 3 is common in both 15 and 12. So we can take 3 out of 15 and 12 and write it as 3 times 5y plus 4. So the factored form of 15y plus 12 would be 3 times 5y plus 4. And this is how we can factor an expression. So that is all for today. If any doubts or questions, let us know in the comments below. Keep learning and take care.